This week we celebrated Pokemon Day. Now, for the last few years, the Pokemon Company have given us some pretty cool stuff like the red, blue, and yellow games on 3DS, new video games, and stuff like that. So this week, they decided to go out and not only give us new raid battles on Pokemon Sword and Shield with the Kanto starters and Mewtwo, which, by the way, you cannot catch, but they went ahead and re-released the Pokemon First movie CGI version of it. I guess they're calling it Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. And honestly, dudes, no one asked for this movie. But before we get started in this video, guys, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Again, and I said in every video, I'm trying to get to a milestone this 2020 season. So I'm doing as many videos as I can, giving you quality. Speaking of quality, I apologize for my Sonic video. The volume on the music was a little bit too high. I did not know that. I don't know what happened when I uploaded the video. So I guess from here on out, I just won't have any music in the background. All right. And of course, and I don't know if I need to say this, but spoiler alert on Pokemon, the movie Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Netflix right now, but honestly, you don't really need to because it's just an overhaul of the 1998 movie. So, yeah, so there's that. So I came home Friday night, remembered that this movie was out on Netflix, was looking forward to watching it, and I started watching it. Here's the biggest thing about this movie, is that no one asked for it. And at the same time, wouldn't have been so hard to just record the dialogue from the original movie, put it into this movie, and just kind of go from there, because there's a few things wrong with this movie that didn't quite capture the luster of the first movie. Granted, the first movie was just, it was a Pokemon movie. Like, it didn't make a lot of money, but for kids like me, who were a product of the 90s, that movie was the shit. I think I watched the movie over 100 times, and I can recite that entire movie from start to finish in my head. Didn't matter where I was, I can watch Pokemon the first movie because I knew every single part of dialogue and scenes from the movie in my head. So yeah, take that with you. So I'm watching this new Mewtwo Evolution, and the differences between this one and the old movie are kind of severe. All right, they're really there. So instead of just reviewing one movie, I'm actually going to review both movies because I think Pokemon the first movie, the original, was very good, and I don't think this one that they give us now is any good at all, to be honest. So we're going to go through each movie. I'm just going to compare scenes. All right, so Mewtwo's Strike Back Evolution opens up like any other movie. However, there's not very good narration. Like, you remember the old narration dude that narrated the anime and then the movies and stuff? Like, his voice isn't there during this scene. It's not. And it kind of set the mood for you when you're watching it. So if you go back and watch the original movie, that dude's voice, I don't know who it is, but he has the best voice I've ever heard. He's there and he's narrating the whole life, the great mystery, and also the great, and he keeps on going, and that voice is like, wow, okay, we're about to get into this, great. But in the CGI version of this movie, it's not there, and the ambiguity of it being Mewtwo's dreams is kind of just thrown out the window. Now, in that opening scene where we see Mew and he's underwater flying, and you have that guy's voice kind of explaining the meaning of life or whatever, I didn't notice as a child, but that was Mewtwo dreaming. You can even hear the whispers of him trying to figure out what's going on. Who am I? What is this? In the CGI movie, they just throwing his voice in there, full on, no whispers, no ambiguity, just, where am I? Who am I? Blah, blah, blah. And it kind of tossed that away because we didn't know what we were about to get into when we watched the original movie. So that was there. And then, of course, you get to the scene where Mewtwo opens his eyes, which is, on par with the original movie. And then you got, I want to say this is Dr. Fuji, but it hasn't been confirmed. But one of the doctors, the dude with the cool hair that looks like freaking Powerline from Goofy movie, came up and he started talking to Mewtwo, explaining what he is, what we've done, what we're going to do, and Mewtwo just kind of, reacts and go to destroying. Now, watch that scene in the CGI version, and then watch it again in the original version. During this scene, there isn't any kind of dramatic music playing. So the instant that Mewtwo is destroying the lab and giving you that kind of feel like, oh shit, this thing is fucking dangerous, there's none of that. There's absolutely none of that. So I'm going to make this point right now. The music in this remake sucks. There is pretty much no music that describes the emotional toll on a scene in this movie. In the original movie, even when they're just throwing out their Pokemon, there's some type of music playing, and that what makes it good and kind of get a feel for the movie. In this movie, the music is just, it either doesn't fit or is not there completely. All right. So going back to the original version, when Mewtwo destroyed the lab, you can see the buildup as he's getting angry. You can hear the drums playing, the music starting to get a little bit more intense, and then you hear it pick up the moment he's beginning to destroy the lab, and you can sense the danger going on in this lab. These people are fucking terrified that they created something like they couldn't control, and he's destroying everything, and each cue on the music track is reflected perfectly in what Mewtwo is doing in terms of destroying the lab. That was great. So that was kind of my first strike on it. I was like, oh, it's about to get intense when I was watching the new version, and then the music didn't play, and I'm sitting here like, I didn't really feel that. I don't think anybody felt that. So it goes forward into the movie. Giovanni catches up with Mewtwo, says, hey, we're going to make you stronger, but you got to learn how to control your power. And Mewtwo's like, okay, let's go. Now, in the beginning of the CG movie, it's not clear if Mewtwo hates humans, right? That's the whole point of this whole monologue right here. This whole prologue to the movie beginning is Mewtwo has been created. He feels as though his creators have used and betrayed him, and he now has this whole vendetta against humans. In the CGI version, it's not very clear. It's more or less like, I want to figure out my purpose, right? And his purpose is to, wasn't clear. But in the original movie, his purpose was clear. He wanted to destroy all humans. He wanted to liberate Pokemon. He wanted to build a world in his image. Done, right? Clear as day. And this one, it's like they're trying to beat around the bush on what they're trying to say. And it's kind of annoying. So anyways, Giovanni gets him the armor and has him join Team Rocket, and he's collecting all these Pokemon. Yada, yada, yada. You know the story. And then Mewtwo breaks out. Again, Mewtwo gets pissed off at what Giovanni tells him. You are created to fight for me. The music in the original version makes the scene come alive. Like you're sensing that, okay, they did it again to Mewtwo. He's pissed, and the music reflects that. And when he blows up the lab and he flies off, he returns to the island, and he kind of just has this monologue where he's like, who am I? What is my true purpose for being? I will find my own purpose and purge this planet to all who oppose me. And you get that scene of just like, okay, this dude is ready to fuck shit up. In this Mewtwo evolution, none of that's there. There's no dramatic emphasis. There's just, it's not there. That was the most epic part about this movie. The music just made the scene seem more realistic and alive. Like, this is a kid's movie, and you have a Pokemon running around fucking blowing shit up and killing people. This is why Pokemon is so cool. Not only is this dude destroying shit and fucking everything up, but he fucking talks. What? This is great. CGI movie, none of that's present, except he does talk, but his voice is off. I still don't understand why they just didn't take the original movie audio and dialogue and just throw it into the CGI version. Just CGI everything scene from scene and go from there. How hard is that? Now, back in 1999, when I saw this movie, of course, I was like 10, 11. I had to go to the movies with my mom. My mom knew that I loved Pokemon. I had Red and Blue. I think by the time Yellow was out, and then we were all waiting for the release of Gold and Silver. So she knew I loved Pokemon. She watched me watch the anime all the time, and she's like, man, this is some kid shit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking 10. Pokemon is what I live for at this age, okay? She took me to see the movie, and when she saw Mewtwo killing all these people, my mom was black, so it was more like, like that. Like, she was so shocked that this 7-foot talking cat was just murdering people without any remorse and was justified in his reason. Yeah, that's how good the cartoon was. My mom would watch that movie with me a few more times after that because she couldn't understand why this Pokemon was so just ruthless. You know, later on you figure out why, but she was so shocked at that premise when we first saw the movie that Mewtwo was just murdering everyone over here. Like, dear God. So, going back to the movie, the title screen opens up and we see Ash, and like, again, like, the scene is off because I remember it from what it was to what it is now. Okay, now if you're like new to Pokemon, you haven't played Pokemon, if you're like 2020 and you're 10 years old and you're getting into Pokemon, this movie is perfect for you because you don't remember the original shit. You don't remember Veronica Taylor voicing Ash. You don't remember none of that. Or the Pokerap. No one fucking remembers the Pokerap. Shit. So this movie is good for new audiences, for sure. But for people like me who had the original movie, not so much. So, Ash is doing his little battle, and then they have the whole remix Pokemon song in it, and it's not as good as the original by Billy Crawford, but I can tell that they took that song, remixed it with some kind of like dubstep shit or whatever, and called it a fucking day. But, you know, the battles are still there. Bulbasaur versus Donphan, Squirtle versus Machamp, and then Pikachu versus fucking everybody. And even the music cues are off. It's not good. Then after that, you got Dragonite. Well, here's my thing about this other part. If during the battle, you have, in the original version, you had the footage change, right? And when I was watching it for the first time, I was asking myself, is there something wrong with the TV, with the movie theater stuff? Why is it doing like that? And come to find out that during his battle, Ash was being recorded by a Fearow with a camera on his neck. At the time, we didn't know who was recording it, so the scene flips to, at this point, it's Nurse Joy, right? She's asking her master, do you want me to extend an invitation to these trainers as well? As you wish. So there's no answer, right? But the dead giveaway there was that Mewtwo was talking to her telepathically. But the ambiguity there is, again, we just got this whole thing of how Mewtwo wants to destroy the world. This whole prologue of his origins and what he did to those people, the scientists and Giovanni and all that stuff. And it did not click to me when I was a 10-year-old kid that, hey, this is Mewtwo in the chair. In the CGI version, they just throw that shit away and just show his face. Just throw away. We didn't know it was Mewtwo until he raised his little 3 ball fingers and started creating the storm. And we're like, oh shit, it's Mewtwo, right? But the ambiguity up until the last second in the original movie was there. It was there, right? Who would have thought that the world's most powerful Pokemon could be the world's most powerful Pokemon trainer, right? And at this point, where Pokemon is like 2 years in with the games and stuff like that, we don't know what these people are going to do. We don't know what's going to happen from this point on. So seeing a movie that illustrates, the world's most powerful Pokemon and trying to give us a story that we can all watch and enjoy had to have been tough for the creators, for sure. So anyway, they sent out Dragonite, and even in the original movie, that scene was great because you know why? The fucking music of Dragonite flying over the sea, coming and just smashing Team Rocket with his speed and blowing away the table. In the CGI version, not there. It's not as engaging in that original version. Don't know why. I have no idea. I'm asking this question again. Why didn't you take the original audio from the 1998 movie and throw it into this movie, right? Just make it as close to the original as possible. I get it. You guys are trying to mold it and remake it into something different for future generations or for this generation. That's great. Fantastic. But this isn't the way you make a remake. Usually you make it as close to the original as possible, or you make that shit better. Or even more so, you could have made it live action. I mean, you made live action Bleach, live action Full Metal Alchemist, live action Death Note, which we will never speak of. You could have done this here. I don't know why you didn't. So Dragonite delivers the little, the invitation. And, in the CGI version, Brock is horny as fuck. Chill the fuck out, man. It's a hologram of a beautiful woman. Chill the fuck out. In the original version, he's not that crazy. It's like, oh, this really pretty little girl is on this card telling me to come over. Yeah, I do it. Excuse me. And, so they do it, everyone goes back, and then they make it over to the island, and then they find out that the storm that Mewtwo's created. Again, when Mewtwo was creating the storm in the original, it was epic. Music is on point, son. On point. You can feel the intensity of him creating a storm. Ravage, just going at it. CGI version, no. It's just him waving his hands. He could have been in a parade for all that I know. And he's just waving his hand. Lame. So lame. So they get to the harbor, and the harbor manager is telling them that, you can't go because the storm is too bad. And I don't know what the fuck she's talking about in this version, but in the original version, she's explaining how Pokemon tears can bring back the dead. Right. Don't ask. In this version, I have no idea what she's talking about. That has nothing to do with the central plot of this movie right now. So, of course, the trainers are like, well, we're going to go anyway after posting up. Even the original version, I never understood where the scene where Nurse Officer Jenny was like, where Nurse Joy from the Pokemon Center disappeared last week. And they have a poster of her face on the wall. And I'm like, wait, don't all Nurse Joys and Officer Jenny's look the same? Why do you need a fucking picture to kind of show her what she looks like? We know what a Nurse Joy looks like. They look like the same everywhere. So why do you have this fucking photo of her on the wall? But even that is pretty much ambiguous too, because we don't know that the chick working for Mewtwo is Nurse Joy. It's very, very, very subtle. But in this one, it's a subtle too, because if you haven't seen the original, you don't really guess that, this chick is Nurse Joy. Okay, go for it. So anyways, the Pokemon trainer, they go into the sea, they're flying on their Pokemon, they're going off, and even that scene is epic because guess what? Fucking music! The music in the original version made this scene seem more than what it was. We don't know who these characters are, but they're getting their own determination music to fly towards New Island to go meet Mewtwo. And they're going. The other one, again, not so much. It's not there. And then you have Team Rocket come up in a fucking Lapras thing. In the original, I don't know if this is like for cultural appropriation purposes, but I know Japanese people don't really fucking care about that. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want when it comes to animation to tell a story. But they put them in a Lapras in this one, and in the original one, they had a boat, and they were dressed like Vikings, and the puns was just amazing. They get attacked by the storm, and then after releasing their Pokemon, getting them to the island, they finally make it to New Island, and it is just a beautiful scene there in the original version. In this version, yeah, it's 3D, yeah, CGI, it gives you more visual effects, but it seems like that this was like a video game. When I think of CGI movies, I think of shit like Frozen or Tangled. Like, that animation is rendered perfectly, it's beautiful, it's for visual effects. This one seemed like it could have been for like, I don't know, a movie and or a video game. So the effects were not great. It could have been rendered better, but they weren't. So they meet Mewtwo at the end of it. And again, when he coming down the little blue light, it's not as epic. I guess to say time on this movie review is to let you know that this movie wasn't as epic. So going forward, I'm going to go over the rest of the movie with respects to the 1998 movie, and then I'm going to go back and I'm just going to compare scenes for you guys, all right? So Mewtwo is coming down the blue light, and it's epic. His eyes is glowing, and you see the music as he's coming down, and he's just like terrifying. Then he introduces himself. He starts talking through Nurse Joy, and again, epic. It's awesome stuff. Your usefulness has ended. And just releases her from her trance, and then, you find out later, it's freaking Nurse Joy. And then he's telling them his plan, how he was created, that all humans are plagued, that he's not going to spare anybody because Pokemon and humans have disgraced themselves, and yada, yada, yada. So he's created the storm to kind of wipe out the planet. And then, of course, his ashes, they try to capture him, and he's like being a dick. Yo, foolish Pokemon attacks cannot weaken me. My powers are too great. And he's true. I mean, you're trying here, but you can't get there. So they challenge him to a Pokemon battle, and Mewtwo has made clones of the evolved forms of Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle, and they're super clones. So he's manipulated their DNA to be slightly stronger than the original. So battle ensues, and again, epic music in this scene. I think this is why I love the original movie so much, is because the music score in this movie was just on point with everything happening in this movie, 100%. They go ahead, all the Pokemon get beat, Charizard gets slammed into the ground, and Mewtwo decides, hey, I'm going to capture him. And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, wait, didn't you just say that the Pokemon that these trainers have aren't going to be spared? Now you're capturing them to keep them safe on the island so you can extract their DNA to make even more powerful copies. So which is it? You're going to be like, well, you're a disgrace to our kind. We're going to let you die in a storm. Or, wait, back up. I want your DNA so I can make even more powerful clones. So that was kind of weird. They go after all the Pokemon with these little black Pokeballs and run away. They capture Pikachu, and Ash is like, you're not going to get Pikachu! And, goes on there, finds Team Rocket, who've kind of like been simultaneously learning about Mewtwo as much as we have, the audience. The thing about Team Rocket in Pokemon movies is that they're not just there. They're there to serve a purpose that's essential to the plot. And that's what I like about, Team Rocket being in these movies, is because they're not there, again, to, like, steal Pikachu. I mean, well, they are, but that's not their primary objective in terms of writing these characters. They're usually there to find out something for the audience about the main villain or the main character or the main plot that's happening. So that was cool. Ash runs into Team Rocket. He says, I have no time for your dumb model today. Trying to get his Pikachu back. And they're just funny because they're seeing the Pokemon silhouettes on the screen. And they're like, who's that Pokemon? And if you don't know what that means, go back and watch the original series and you'll know what it means. Sorry guys, I'm a little sick right now. A little congested. So if I sound a little nasally, I apologize. So Ash gets Pikachu back. He blows up the lab indirectly. And as the clones are making their way out, he takes the original Pokemons, or what Jesse says, the Pokoriginals. I'm sorry, like the jokes in this movie they're funny. They're not as funny, but it's just right for the movie, for kids movie, for sure. So Ash takes the originals and Mewtwo's releasing the people, telling them go back out into the storm. We're going to have our time here. It's over. And Ash blows up, or something blows up. I don't know. Ash comes through the smoke, and again, you got that drum solo. And it's epic, but then, Ash's walking's kind of gay, so it kind of took away from that scene. CGI version, nothing's there. He's just walking through the smoke with the Pokemon. There's no epic music, there's no drum solo, there's nothing. It's just like, this is not as epic as before. And for some reason, Ash thinks, after deflecting a Hyper Beam and throwing away a Rhyhorn, Ash thinks that he can go and punch the 7-foot telepathic cat. And he does it again, pushes back, tries it again, he gets thrown into a wall, and then Mew pops up. And Mewtwo's like, what could it be? And this whole fight just starts between the clones and the original Pokemon, Mew versus Mewtwo. Who's going to win? And then you have all the clones and they're fighting. And the emotional toll in this movie. Again, I'm watching this movie with my mom. And she is, like, confused that a kid's show could portray a message that useless violence is wrong, right? Mewtwo's blocking all the Pokemon's special ability, which means Pikachu can't shoot lightning, Vaporeon can't shoot water, Charizard can't shoot fire. They just are rageously using whatever means they can to hurt the other. And you kind of get that sense that this shit is wrong. And you, at the time, you're relating it to the real world, that useless violence is wrong. They're even playing My Brother by Blessed Union of Souls in the background to kind of emphasize that dramatic, that dramatic scene that we're seeing here. CGI version, there's fucking none of that. There's none of that to emphasize the emotional toll this scene is supposed to have. It's just happening, and you're kind of asking yourself, I'm not feeling anything towards this story right now. Go back and watch the original one. Watch that scene and tell me if you don't get the feels for it. It's amazing. For a fucking kids movie. I am 10, learning that useless violence is wrong. Going back to the movie, Ash climbs down somehow from where he was knocked up, and Pikachu is the only one who's refusing to fight. Pikachu is like, nah bruh, I don't want to fight you. And the other Pikachu just keeps on smacking him around, and you thought the emotional toll was good before? The other Pikachu, clone Pikachu, starts slapping Pikachu repeatedly. Pika, 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 Pika. And it's like, oh my God, this is, oh, woo. Poor Pikachu. That's all you can say to yourself at this point. Poor Pikachu. What's happening right now? This is sad. And even throughout all of that, the music is still subtly setting the scene for what is happening here. In Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, you don't get that. And that's the problem with this movie. The cues for the music, everything, you're not feeling anything for the story, for the characters, for none of that, right? Now, Mewtwo and Mew come down, they destroy the battlefield, and they're shooting little beams at each other, and Ash takes it upon himself to trying to get them to stop fighting, and in the midst of trying to do that, he gets hit with both Mewtwo and Mew's attack, and he dies. Now, this scene is a little bit corny, but it kind of reiterates what the harbor manager in the beginning of the movie was trying to say. It all comes full circle from there. So Ash gets hit, Pikachu is upset, he's crying, he's trying to shock Ash awake, Ash isn't coming. I don't know why Ash decides to turn to stone. I guess because, you know, it's still a kid's movie. They couldn't show him, like, actually blowing into pieces. Because that's what it would have did, to be honest. You're getting hit by two of the most powerful Pokemon's attack. And you should have blew up. You should have just blown up. But no, they turned him into stone. Pikachu trying to get him to wake up. He can't. So all the Pokemon around started crying. And their tears are releasing, like, this cool sparkle stuff. Which I guess is, like, the tears of life. I guess. I don't know. It's never really fully explained. It's explained, but it's never really in-depth explained. And then Ash is able to come back to life and all that stuff. And again, it's a corny scene. All the Pokemon are crying and giving away their tears and floating to Ash, giving them life. But the music is what kind of makes it more of an emotional hit. Again, the music. It's the music. Get the music back in there. This movie would have been great if you had the music from the original movie. 100%. You should have did that. So, Mewtwo, after seeing Ash's sacrifice, has a change of heart. That not all humans are bad. The human sacrificed himself to save the Pokemon. I pitted them against one another, but not until they set aside their differences did they know that they did blah. You know what I'm trying to say. And then, of course, the most fucking famous line of all time, which needs to be reiterated in 2020 because there's a lot of stupid people walking around complaining about their life. Mewtwo says, now I'm pointing out this is a fictional, genetically altered psychic cat, okay? He says, I know now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. And boom, mic drop. The most eponymous fucking line I've ever heard in a kid's movie. My mom was fucking shocked when she heard that. She goes, huh, that is some true shit. And it is true shit. And I've lived by that motto ever since. Doesn't matter how you were born, doesn't matter how you were made. It matters what you do with the gift of life. That's it. So Mewtwo takes his Pokemon, flies off, and he's like, what transpired here I will always remember. But for you, these events are best forgotten. And he erases everyone's minds, which, you know, makes sense because he's a psychic type Pokemon. What doesn't make sense is that he rewound time. How did you do that? How did you go back and send these people back in time? I don't understand what's happening here. Did you teleport them back and it's still raining? Maybe that's the case. I don't know. That's never really fully explained. Mewtwo flies off and Ash sees Mew in the clouds at the harbor. And that's the end of the movie. And then you get the credits with, like, the most 90s music choice of all time. And Christina Aguilera, M to M. I think NSYNC was on the album, too. Like, holy shit. And that's the movie. Guys, if you're going to celebrate Pokemon Day, don't watch this movie on Netflix. If you've seen the original version, buy it on Google Play or Amazon Prime, whatever you got, watch it there. Because I watched this movie, and it was just... Again, the music. The music. Another thing was the dialogue. The dialogue was kind of corny. They weren't really talking about anything. They were beating around the bush to try to get to the point. And they never really fully illustrated the point, and that was the issue. But over here, on the Pokemon First movie, a bit better. The animation at the time was great, so just go ahead and watch that. So, so for Pokemon, the movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, sorry guys, I gotta give it a 4 out of 10. It's not as good as the original. The original Pokemon movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, 1999, I'm giving that a solid 8 out of 10. Why? Because it was dubbed, and at the same time, you know what? I'm not even going to explain why I'm giving it an 8. No movie is getting a 10 out of 10 from me, okay? No movie is that great. Not one. If you have a movie that's that great, let me know in the comment section. I will love to watch it. Hey guys, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my little rant on both of these movies. Did you watch Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you didn't like it, put it in the comment section. Did you like the original movie from 1999? I want to hear everyone's thoughts. And as always, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing more of these video critiques and movie critiques as time goes on. So again, have a great weekend, and I will see you guys next time.